I'm joined by lovely ladies from the industry, and I'd like to invite them one by one. Janet. So we have Janet White. A clap of hands, please. She's the head of public policy and external affairs, GSMA. Her role entails providing public policy support for mobile network operators on telecom and data privacy, spectrum policy, IoT, FG, and competition policy. Before joining the GSMA, Janet ran a telecom media technology consultancy firm where she had a wide range of projects, including development of fixed broadband strategies and business plan for mobile operators across Asia. Welcome, Janet. Okay, I'd like to invite then Neelu. Welcome, Neelu. Neelu Ambar, she's the Chief Growth Officer of Airtel. She's a seasoned business leader with over 2 decades of experience across marketing, sales, distribution, and customer growth. As Chief Growth Officer, she leads consumer-led growth and marketing for all B2C businesses. She began her career as a tech professional before pivoting to marketing, sales, digital growth. And she's a passionate leader who firmly believes in using technology to solve customer pain points. Airtel's rollout of anti-spam is a strong testament to that belief, which is designed to enhance trust and safety for millions of Indians. She's a computer graduate with an international marketing from IIM Calcutta. Next, I'd like to invite Shraddha. Welcome. Shraddha Gupta is the CEO of Cachet Digitech. She's a dynamic leader in the IT industry and deep expertise across marketing, sales, supply chain, operations, and services. With a strong academic foundation in business and marketing, she brings a strategic cross-functional approach to driving business growth and execution. Her experience includes scaling IT-driven solutions, building agile systems, and aligning business functions to deliver consistent results. Passionate about innovation and team empowerment, she excels in solving complex problems and fostering collaboration. Welcome. Welcome, Shraddha. Okay, my last panelist, Vibha. Please welcome on stage. Vibha Mehra. Clap of hands, please. Vibha Mehra is Vice President of Government Affairs in Nokia for the APAC region. She has a diverse experience in the tech industry for more than 25 years. Welcome, Vibha. Okay, so now as I said, we will start and I'll come there. So we'll start with the session and our topic is women in tech. How do we support women in tech? As I start this session and as I reflect on my own career paths and when I joined tax technology within KPMG, I've realized that effective use of technology requires a lot of brainstorming. And that brainstorming requires diverse perspective and disruptive ideas. Those come in only if you have a greater diversity in your teams, be it geography, culture, education, and gender. If you have an equal representation across all these 4 areas, the ideas are better, the innovation happens, the creativity fuels up, and you get the best results for meeting your business considerations. But when we reflect on technology and tech as a sector, we see low participation in women. We are improving, certainly, but there is a low participation. So clearly, when we look at women, what they bring on the table, they bring in a lot of aspects which are very, very useful, and there are several studies done which impact the business results. So to discuss this, why do we need women in the tech sector? Let me go across the panel and take a view. Jared, maybe if I can start with you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to be on this panel. It's great to be here from the GSMA. So I'd like to look at it from AI, hot topic. Everyone thinks about AI. So if we think about where the information is coming on AI, it's coming from the internet. And that means the data in there, is that all men's data or is it women? Let's take an example. Here in India, 33%, women are 33% less likely to have a smartphone. So the data that we're looking at on the internet may be biased. And in fact, that's what we can see. There's many studies that show the fact that if we don't have women's voices heard, then we will have a very biased way of the way we look at the world. And just talking a little, I know it's not quite answering your question totally, but if we think about it, if we do not have that diversity, we're going to have some real big social and economic problems. If you look there's many studies which have shown that if you look at health data, it's biased towards men. So when women who may have a heart, and we know this is like say a heart attack, the data that's looked at is from men, and the solutions then, will not be right for women. So I would like to I know we've not got much time, but I would like to say one thing. If AI isn't built for women, it isn't built for half the world. Now we need to make that change. We need that diversity to ensure that we have a fair and responsible way. I'll talk a little bit later about how we can do it, but that's just setting the scene.
Great points. Thanks, Janet. Neelu, let me come to you. We were discussing earlier how many stories you have from Airtel World where women have contributed significantly.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Janet. Thank you, Nitika. I would just want to continue with where Janet left. 34% representation in IT in India, 25% female representation in GCC at leadership position. The most heartening number, however, is the number of computer science, computer engineer, graduate females enrolled in India. Anybody has any guess? It's 45%. Even more heartening. So the future is bright. Even more heartening is what is 45% for India is 17% for US. So starting with that, and why do we all believe that women bring in something different to the society, to the organization? I'll start with a couple of examples which are very real life examples. One of them is collaboration comes naturally to women. So, and in our organization, the buzzword is CFTs, cross-functional teams. You cannot create anything large, anything big, till the time you do not know how to collaborate. Collaboration comes naturally to women. That's the first example. And from being a woman, you all would have heard of a plan called family plan. I don't know how many of you have heard about a family plan. That is planned for a family connecting multiple devices. That, ladies and gentlemen, was innovated by a female in our organization. And I don't want to talk about number, how much growth, but it was pretty substantial ARPU growth that was given. The second thing that I will talk about is, you all have heard that Airtel has taken a lead, and Nitika spoke about it while introducing me. Airtel has taken a lead in spam, not just in the country, but globally. Now, what we realized when we were reading behaviors and we were reading how women scroll, how do they browse an app, you look at all of it. Women are sensitive towards, is this data secure or not? Am I safe or not? Men, kids, boys, they may be wanting to complete the task as against women who would be very careful about what they are sharing there. It all started from there, and look what it had become. Third thing for Airtel as an organization that women bring in, and for society, again for society, is empathy. And as Shraddha and I were talking, she said women don't need sympathy, they need empathy. So, empathy. Now, when you are in an organization that thrives on customer happiness, if you are empathetic towards customer problem, trust me, that organization and that society is going to do wonders. Last one is, women have this ability to anticipate risk. Now, don't get me wrong saying they are risk averse. Risk averse is very different from creating something and knowing इसमें कोई risk नहीं है and still you ended up having a risk. I'm saying you are creating something where you know you could fail. That is pretty good with women. But creating something not knowing that it could be risky is not a great proposition. Women have this innate ability to anticipate risk. And trust me, all these 4-5 things that I have shared make them really, really unique.
Thanks, Neelu. Great points. So collaboration comes naturally to women. Risk, anticipation, and bringing empathy while making business decisions. Fantastic points. Shraddha, let me come to you. You are at the pinnacle of your career. You are a CEO of your organization. Why do you feel women are important in the tech sector?
See, I feel informal mentorship is a very important aspect of anybody growing. Formal is something that you can go to people and seek their advices. But once you sit on the table, all those corporate things off, and now you talk to each other, and you feel, okay, this is going on in my life. I want to do this, but I'm not able to get there. I think that is where a person who's of the similar experience can help you feel, okay, possibly you're doing this at this point of time. I feel you can help do this to navigate this problem. I feel that comes easier when in comparison to men, you can go out for drinks and so on and so forth. But I feel with women, it's still a taboo, and then stepping out after 7, 8, however it is. And once you're in that leadership role, you are empowered that, okay, no, I am in that role and I need to do all these things for other women also. So I think that is very important. Secondly, I feel the consumers are 50% women, but the people in the workforce, in IT specifically, is only 30%, rather 23 to 30%. So like I just possibly just found this example out that the majority of the people who are addicted to Instagram are more women, but the people who are making it are only 30%. Are you serious? So I feel it's very important, to understand what a woman might want, and that might be, in favor of your product. So that's pretty much, and also what I think that women empower women, and we should do that.
Absolutely. Fully agree with you. Vibha, what are your thoughts on this topic?
You know what? I think hearing everybody on the panel kind of covered it so well. Why women are not there where they are, and what are the challenges which they face, as well as, I think Neelu very nicely articulated the strengths which they bring. Couple of more data points from me. So we talked about the tech diversity at about 23 to 30%, depending on different countries and geographies. The leadership tech percentage is about 14%. How India is doing is possibly at average, because for us the IT industry has been fairly big. But now there was a mention of how many engineering students are there as women, so about 45%. And that is where the glaring issue starts. So the entry point of women in the careers, the percentage is about 45 to 48%. But as they progress during the career, it keeps dropping at every level. Okay? They go through those phases in their personal lives where they start deprioritizing things. Sometimes they support it, all the women here are supported and they're here, but a lot of time the support of the whole ecosystem doesn't happen. But if we make that happen with the right policies at the company's level, at the government level, I remember when we were young, and we're not so young right now, the maternity policy used to be very different. I was telling somebody, I was in office, exactly 91 days, on the dot. Today, thankfully, with all the government support and all the corporates adopting it, things have changed. The work from home options. I think as corporates, we're changing. We're allowing these things to foster. We're giving them a roadmap, but possibly we need to do more if we want this to be a sustainable growth trajectory. That's my views.
Perfect. Thanks, Vibha. I think what you said, corporates are alive to the fact that there is a support required in those life-changing times for a woman. And there is a lot of activities, a lot of policies already enabled for women. Yet, we do not see the full representation. So, how can we do more? Or what are the best practices that, Janet, you have seen in your practical life, which can really help women?
So many of you might not have heard of the GSMA, so I'll just explain who we are very briefly. So we represent the interests of the mobile operators globally. So we are an association. So we don't make products, but what we do is we represent the industry. And that is, we at GSMA feel it's very important that women have a rightful place. We do a lot of conferences. We have a big conference in Barcelona with, it's huge, it's very, very big, a lot bigger than this. And one of the things we noticed is that if you ask a woman to speak on stage about what they're doing, no, oh, I'm not qualified, I can't do this. If you ask a man, even if he knows nothing about it, he'll say, yeah, I'll do it. So we set up a policy of having, we won't have a manel, i.e., we can't have a panel where it's all men. Now, if you look at, it's very difficult to do. I mean, actually, I think I congratulate IMC. They've had a lot of panels where we have had, women on board, but normally it's very difficult that way. So what we did at GSMA, we set up something in our APAC region. We have it at a global level, but we said, what can we do? Practically, we can't do the products, but can we do something that would be practical, that would help women? So 3 years ago, we set up a Women for Tech. I have a little badge here which shows our group of women. And what we did is on International Women's Day, we invited women in Asia Pacific to write about what they do about their job in tech. So we have a theme. This year it was about women in tech in AI. And they can write it's a very small piece, or they can do a video. And then all those are put on GSMA's website. GSMA, we are a huge global marketing machine. So that websites get lots of access, lots of people can see. We've run this program for 3 years. The first 2 years, we had a lot of applicants actually from India. This year, sadly, none. So I want to change that. What we do is then the women, we have a panel, we select the women, and 3 or 4 women are invited to our regional conference, paid to go there. And then they have an opportunity to be awarded, and everyone can see, and then we promote them. So they can actually see that they are really doing something well. So that's something simple. I would just add one thing because of policy. And AI is a big thing that everyone's talking about. Responsible AI. I said that if we don't have women's voices in the models, then we are not having a proper, useful model for the way going forward. In fact, one of the ladies who wrote the paper and won, she said, is ChatGPT a man? And she debated about what was there and what we needed to do. So we have set up what we call a responsible AI framework. And in that, the mobile industry is signed up to that, which through their processes has that there is diversity in the organization. So it is so important so that we get that diversity into the AI models. So we're doing things from, let's say we're not being able to build products, but, I'd invite every woman in this to next year. Please support and come there. Just think you can get our event will be in Kuala Lumpur, so the winner will be invited to Kuala Lumpur. You'll be on stage there, and lots of promotion.
Perfect. Thank you, Janet, for that point. Neelu, let me come to you. What are the best practices that you've seen in your practical life that can support women in tech?
बिल्कुल honestly बोलूँगी ना.
Absolutely honestly.
Okay, I want to quote an example. I think it will start from mindset. We were traveling to Singapore. There was another colleague of mine. She's just had a baby a year ago or a year and a half ago. There was a gentleman who asked her, so how do you manage when you are traveling your small baby? And I asked him, you also had a baby a year ago. How did you manage? I'm just saying that while we are readying women, we also need to change the mindset of our own colleagues. And we have to, is the society prepared to take women as leaders? is a question that we need to ask. From the support standpoint, a couple of things, and I was reading Indira Nooyi, I follow her a lot, Indira Nooyi, and she said, women keep juggling. There's nothing called as work-life balance, they just keep juggling. आज PTM है तो पहले PTM जाएंगे, then meeting करेंगे, if there is a meeting, then, so you just keep juggling between multiple things. I think they require a little bit of flexibility. So if organizations are providing flexibility, women will do really well. The second thing is, I often hear, यार वो ना network नहीं करते हैं. So, and I really don't understand the meaning of this word. What do we mean by network nahi karte hain? But I just believe they need, and I think Shraddha spoke about it, saying having mentors, informal mentors, having sponsorship can help them really grow and not drop off their career. She spoke about 45% people entering but dropping off. And the last one that I missed in my first one was that women have this paranoia about doing something new. They don't wear similar clothes every day. Their colors of the clothes are different. They will do up their house. And it reflects. That's how they are. That's how most companies who innovate something big prefer to have a very diverse force. That's how women are. So I believe giving them flexibility, having a sponsor, having informal mentors can really do wonders, not only just to the organization, but also to society.
Thanks, Neelu. I think that point that you brought about unconscious bias, that's very important, because that's in the mind of men as well as women when they're dealing with women. So never assume that a woman cannot do something. Let her come up to speed and try and deliver. If she delivers, then great. If she asks for support, then support. I think that's a very, very powerful point. Thanks, Neelu. Vibha, let me come to you. What are your thoughts on this topic? What can we do to support women?
Thank you. So I will talk from the perspective of, what we have done, and I say technology, telecom technology in the tech area is far more intricate than even the IT side. So we have a good example where we have a factory, where we have R&Ds, and we have the sales and the business areas. And we have maintained a very healthy balance, even in the factory environment, which runs 3 shifts a day. Why it has happened is because we were able to create or give them a safe environment. What is the biggest issue which a woman will have when she is, let's say, commuting to work or spending those 8 hours? First is the safe commute, okay? And especially on the, the late night shifts. So we have supported our factory guys, which is in one industrial area near Chennai, with that facility, okay? Secondly, the supporting HR policies for the women. They are prioritized for the, day shifts. Only on the critical tasks, critical times, we will allow them, or we will want them to come to the late night shifts. The, my colleagues in the R&D sector, Bangalore, a little more, I would say a central place, a established city, young girls coming, almost 3,000 to 4,000 of them. They don't need that kind of support, which the factory needs, okay? But maybe the young girls, just married, getting into the family, they need a little different kind of support. So work from home policies, allowing them to work remotely, giving them that flexibility which we just spoke about. These are those initial years. I think every woman needs that bit of hand holding, which allows her to continue till the time she settles, things at home. So we have policies to do that. And then the corporate offices. I think, we've done very, very well there. I say one function where telecom as a segment has not done well compared to IT is, the deployment of networks in the field, okay? That is still treated as a men's job, and I wish we can do more of it, okay? But within the corporate side, I think we're still doing okay. So good policies, flexibility from the managers, colleagues, little sensitivity, these things go a long, long way.
Thanks, Vibha. Shraddha, let me come to you, please. In terms of the best practices, what are your thoughts?
So, because I had a great mentor when I was growing up, that was my mother. And because of that, I never thought women were, it is difficult for women to grow. Of course, I saw her struggles, but at the same time, I had a great women leader in front of me, which actually motivated me to tell everybody else that why is it not equal? And that is what I've done with most of my staff also. I mean, I've tried to be as complacent and as humble towards them to come and talk to me in case they need any help. I've been the good cop, bad cop, both of it for them, all of them. I mean, I'm sure some of them are here and they should agree. So, but then I've done that. But what I feel is that we should promote women entrepreneurship. And with women entrepreneurship, there'll be a lot of people out there who might, when they face issues that, okay, are we working with men? No, I'm not really comfortable. But if they see that, okay, this company is owned by a woman, I'd like to work with her. There are more women, female workers here. I think I'm more comfortable there. If we have that whole ground of a lot of women working, it is easier for them who are still little hesitant to work. I feel that is there. And then I feel for entrepreneurship, there could be taxation policies which could be slightly better for promoting women entrepreneurship. There should be women-led VCs, like you mentioned, that you would want to start a women-led networking program, something like that. Then I'd also feel that there could be co-working spaces for women, that they feel safe, they feel confident that, okay, I can walk in, wear anything and come here and I'll not feel, I'm a little, I don't have to feel conscious about it. So I think that's pretty much what I feel. And that is how we can always promote women in this space.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you mentioned your mother in the beginning, and I know she's there to support, sitting in the audience. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you. I think mothers are natural mentors for everyone. But, coming to this point of informal mentorship, I can also relate it to my career, where, I have had a friend and colleague who's been a friend for me for almost 20 years, and she's been my guiding light all throughout my career. And this informal mentorship actually adds a very good dimension when you're going through challenges in your work. You need a sounding board. Have that informal mentorship to, push your things forward and keep moving ahead. So both formal and informal mentorship actually helps. Great. Do we have any other points to make? I'll leave it open for the panel, please.
It's leading on your point. I would like to see more of like a women's network, informal women's network. What we do in GSMA, we just have a WhatsApp group. Something simple and easy. And it would be, we've already set that up. Why not do something? Why don't the women in India join that group and learn from other women in Asia Pacific? And to your point, a lot of the women are entrepreneurs in that group. So they're very supportive of each other. So I think you'll get some real benefit. They're from different countries, but they're similar. It's the same sort of problem. So maybe I always like a call to action. So maybe we could have a call to action that we could be the starting point of the India Women WhatsApp group, and
I can lead it.
yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I'd like to add one more point here, that like we were talking about mentorship, I think reverse mentorship is equally important.
Very powerful.
The people now who are now in their 40s, 50s, now in fact in my office itself, now we have more people in their 20s than in their 30s or 40s. So I think we should go back to understanding their mind space, like we're dealing with Gen Alphas. So and the leaders are actually possibly.
Actually, Shraddha, I can add to it. In Airtel, we have during the hiring process, retention process, as manager, we have a program that focuses on Gen Z. Their motivation, their excitement could be very different from my motivation and my excitement, and therefore, very, very good point you have brought forward, which is not just applicable for women, but
Everybody.
Gen Z in general.
And
if
in
I can just-
KPMG, we do have a reverse mentoring, and I have seen the benefits of that across. Partners are, being mentored by 20 or 30-year-old Gen Z people, and it's a great perspective to add.
I mean, I'm in my 30s and I still learn a lot from the people in 20s.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
feel that's something that you win some, you learn some. It's like that. I feel you keep learning is a process that you do every day, and I think you should learn a lot from them instead of feeling that, oh, I know everything. No,
True.
you don't.
True. Vibha, you want to make a point?
Just one comment on that. I think most of the organizations are now setting up a different, person to just manage this Gen Z. Okay, believe me, most of us don't know what to do with them. Okay, they don't want to come to office. If they're remote, they'll keep working remote. So we're trying to kind of adjust to their way of working. They are very ahead in technology understanding and the way they adopt technology. But I think most of the organization needs to do something more. One last point from my side. I think women, need to ask for help a little more. Okay, and this is one thing which I have, told all the people I've been mentoring. You know what? Don't be shy to ask for help at your home, with your husbands, with your family, anywhere. You don't need to do everything on your own. Start delegating, start asking, things will fall in place.
Thank you. I think we heard some very diverse perspectives, disruptive ideas, some actionables. And I'm going to take one actionable for sure back to my organization. I'm starting a women's club. Very quickly, Manisha. Yes. So we are going to invite people, friends, colleagues, and we will start this and create a women's club like a men's club as well. Thank you so much for your time, your valuable insights. I hope everybody enjoyed the session, and we look forward to having all your support to support women in your organizations. Thank you.